Hello, it's me, Robin, with Simple Food, Simple Life. Today is Monday. Well, it'll be Monday when you see this. It's actually Sunday. And I'm going to make some Amish applesauce bread. It's a recipe I came across. It's really easy, and in actuality, I have already made it. I made a batch because I wanted to try it out, and it was so good. I want to make it again and provide you with the recipe. So the recipe will be in the description box, and you can actually make it for yourself. Very, very easy, because you know I like things that are easy. So stick with me and let's make some food today. This is really, really good. Now, what I have in this bowl, I have put 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of sugar. I haven't mixed anything yet, so that's what's in this bowl, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So we're going to get that mixed up, and I also need to add some salt. It's a half a teaspoon of salt, so we'll just put that in there. Now, I'm going to mix this up with my mixer, but I wanted to get the flour and sugar mixed up together. Now, I've got it, the recipe calls for shortening. So I guess that means it's an old recipe. But I think you could just use butter. You could use shortening. I am going to use a stick of imperial margarine. This actually takes a half a cup, so this is a half a cup. Mine is still slightly frozen. So I'm going to melt this. It doesn't say to melt it, but I'm going to melt it because I think it makes it easier. And I don't enjoy creaming butter and sugar, so if I can use melted margarine or butter, I will. So let me get this melted. This also calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon, but put whatever amount you like. I like a little extra cinnamon, but just put in whatever you like. So I'll put a bit more than a teaspoon here. And so now we've got all of our dry ingredients in here. The recipe also calls for 2 eggs, and it calls for 1 1/2 cups of applesauce. It says cinnamon applesauce, but I've got some applesauce that I canned last year, so I'm going to use that. And in this jar is a cup. So as you can see, mine is well seasoned. You can see how dark it is. So I'm going to use that. It also calls for a teaspoon of vanilla, but you put in however much you prefer. Now, it says that walnuts are optional. I have them, so I'm going to use them. It says a half a cup, but I think there's probably more than a half a cup here, which is fine. These add-ins, I just say add however much you want, whatever your taste is. Some people don't like nuts in anything. I have some people in my family who don't care. They like nuts, but they don't like them in baked goods. But I'm the only one here to eat this, so it's okay. All right, I'm just going to add those in. The butter is almost completely melted, but we'll let it sit for a minute. And then I'm going to open these jars of applesauce and I will add them. I'm going to add the vanilla, and I'm going to add in the eggs. And see if I can incorporate that butter a little bit, or the margarine. I rarely use margarine, but the price of butter is very precious right now. And I happen to have this Imperial margarine. If you have to use margarine for baking, Imperial, in my opinion, is the best. And I have read that it is the best. So this is a half a cup. You can see how melting it is going to make it easier. Now, I'm going to get out my mixer and I'm going to mix this up. You won't see that part since my outlet is, I don't have an outlet here, but I'll have to move it to the other side of the cabinet. Okay, I've got it all mixed up, and I've got my, this is actually a long bread pan. It's a loaf pan, but it is a long and narrow one, commonly used for sandwich loaf or sandwich bread. But I really like this, and it makes a beautiful loaf of any bread, really. So I've got some avocado oil brushed on the inside of it so that our applesauce bread doesn't stick. Before I fill up that pan, I want to show you something though. This is the previous bread that I baked. This has raisins and walnuts in it. I used the last of my raisins, and I put a glaze on the bread. I'm not going to put a glaze on this bread, but I did put one on this bread, which it's a coffee glaze. It's a half a cup of confectioner's sugar and 2 tablespoons of coffee, cold coffee, and it makes a beautiful glaze. You can see it's got kind of that coffee cream color. This one is so good with the raisins on it, but I have an affection for nuts and raisins, and this is extremely, extremely good, but I wanted to show you that. Okay, let's get this in there. Now, I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to set the timer on 45 minutes. It took exactly 45 minutes for that first loaf that I tried, and it came out perfectly. But you go according to your oven, because sometimes ovens can be finicky. So, all right, that's going in 350 degrees for 45 minutes, and when it's done, we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Aren't you excited? I am excited. This is so delicious. You're going to want to make this. Well, it's done. It smells fabulous. The kitchen smells so good. Now, it does have a split in the middle. The first one I made did that as well. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let it cool in the pan for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I will turn it out on this rack so that it can finish cooling off. This one is going to get cut in half, wrapped really well, and put in the freezer because I still have that other one that's left. And like I said, I'm not going to put a glaze on this one, but it smells delicious, it looks delicious, and you know how you tell it's done? You just tap the top and you can tell. Or if you have to, you can put a pick in the center or a knife, it's fine. That's all it is. That's all it takes. I hope you give this a try. I know you're going to love it, and you probably actually have all the ingredients in your house for this already. I'm just saying. All right, that's it for me today. I love you guys. You know I do. As always, you know that little is much when God is in it. All right, hopefully, if the good Lord's willing, I will see you on Wednesday. And make sure you talk to me in the comments and let me know what you think of this recipe. And be sure and check out the recipe in the description. All right. Love ya. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.